it. You know what I mean? It's Game 7 of the World Series at your home stadium. I mean, what the hell else do you want?
It's what you dream of as a kid. I've played in quite a few Game 7s in my backyard over the years, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's why I play the game. It's everything I've dreamed of.
I don't think there's one person in either locker room that didn't dream as a kid playing in Game 7 of the World Series, and it's here in front of us. So, it's been a great World Series, and the World Series now it's going to get decided on who plays best during one of those games.
One game to decide it all. Game 7 of the World Series from Rogers Center in Toronto hits the Los Angeles Dodgers against the Toronto Blue Jays. Will Toronto and all of Canada end the night in frenzy, or will the Dodgers cheers pierce through a silent Rogers Center by the end of the night? That's what we find out here in the final game of the 2025 season.
Ben Shulman setting the stage. The nickname for the World Series is the Fall Classic. And in 2025, we had ourselves a classic, and it ended in grand fashion. It's time for a broadcaster breakdown of the 2025 World Series Game 7. Welcome into Crafting the Call. I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler, voice of the Lansing Lugnuts.
And I'm Josh Sushan, voice of the Albuquerque Isotopes. Jesse, I know that there's recency bias is a big thing whenever we rank these things. But in our lifetime, I really do feel that the 2025 World Series was the best one in our lifetime. I would go 2025 first, 1991 second, 2001 third. And in my mind, in order for you to even be in the conversation, there needs to be an unbelievably epic Game 7. And that's what we were about to break down.
We've had some good ones. 1991, 2001, 2016. And you can keep on going. The last one that was a World Series that went to Game 7 was 2019. That was the fabulous World Series where neither the Nationals nor the Astros could win a home game. But here we've got the Blue Jays, we've got the Dodgers. And the fun thing about this World Series, Josh, is since the start, each game had something about it that made it memorable. Whether it's the Blue Jays exploding for 9 runs, whether it's the Dodgers countering and Yamamoto tossing a complete game and onward. So you had the tension build all the way to the finish line.
We had the 18-inning game. We had just the Shohei Ohtani's hitting and pitching. We had back-to-back home runs to begin a game. We had home teams and road teams that were winning. That was my biggest fallback of 1991. It's just the home team won every time. But it felt to me like if this was a best of 9, the Blue Jays would have won. If it was a best of 11, the Dodgers would have won. Just the ebbs and the flows of it. And then all of the starting pitchers who were used in so many different ways. That's to me what added it up. And I got to watch every single pitch of Game 7. There was some of the series where I'm at a wedding rehearsal. We're hosting a World Series party at Isotopes Park, but I got to watch every single pitch and just be completely locked in for Game 7. And oh my goodness, what a game.
I feel like after the 18-inning game, the people were already starting to say, we're in the midst of one of the greatest World Series ever. Mm-hmm. And then Game 6 ends with a startling double play, just as it looks like maybe the Blue Jays will walk off in Game 6 like they had done against the Phillies in 1993. So that sets up this Game 7, Toronto. Ben Shulman set the stage, but you and I are going to go through, and it's going to be Ben, it's going to be Joe Davis, it's going to be Steven, it's going to be all these different broadcasters that we're going to listen to how they called a series of escalating moments.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we're going to jump around a little bit, but let's move forward first by looking at one of the key early moments in this game.
Successful sacrifice, Nathan Lucas. Into scoring position goes Springer. And up comes Vlad Jr.
The pitch to Vlad Guerrero. In the dirt, it gets away from Smith. And over to third base goes Springer on a wild pitch. Ohtani yanked his splitter. And now a runner on third with only one out.
And they're actually going to walk him. Dave Roberts just stuck out the 4 fingers from that Dodgers dugout.
First and third with one away. Bichette comes up. Pick your poison right here. Dave Roberts will choose Bo Bichette, and it might seem like an easy decision, but Bo Bichette was the best hitter in baseball this year with runners in scoring position. He hit .380 And even though he missed the last month of the regular season, drove in 10 more runs than anybody else on the team.
His pitch to Bichette. Swinging a fly ball. Center field. Edman back. Looking up. That ball's gone. A blast from Boog Sciambi, and the Blue Jays start the scoring in Game 7. A 3-run homer. It's 3-0. Bottom of the third.
Boog Sciambi was trying to lift something to the outfield. And boy, did he lift something to the outfield. What a swing from Boog Sciambi. Tommy Edman, the center fielder, just turned and watched that thing fly out of here. Boog Sciambi took about 3 or 4 slow steps to first base. What a moment for him. This place is absolutely rocking.
Who needs to run full speed when you can jog around the bases? Bichette's first home run of the postseason is a monumental 3-run blast.
Springer got a base hit. Lucas sacrificed. They put Vladdy out, and Bo knows it's gone. Man, he can enjoy that one.
All right, I'm going to initially pause it here. Jesse, what do you think so far?
Well, I want to start with Joe Davis. First, just so you understand my background. See Bo and Vladdy there?
Mm-hmm.
So I was there when they first met each other. It was in 2016, and Vladdy was 17 years old, and Bo was 18 in Lansing, Michigan. We were on the road in Lake County, and they finished off the season and then came back to Lansing together the next year. In 2016, John Schneider was the manager of that Lansing team. This is really fun for me and makes it personal 9 years later. But I want to begin with Joe, because his whole pick your poison, and then the measured way that he says seems to be easy, right? We've all watched Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s postseason to this point, and Bo Bichette's coming back from injury. But here's a key stat to let you know why there could be trouble ahead for the Dodgers. And that's so good for a broadcaster to have that kind of pertinent stat just to lay the groundwork for something to happen.
It's one thing to have the information, to have the stat. It's much different how you present the stat, how you set up the stat. And Joe did it in a way that's not in your face, that's not preachy. It's just pick your poison. Well, keep this in mind.
It's just, that's something that I really appreciate about good broadcasting. We're in this together. We're watching this together. So entering this at bat, here's something that we know, and then let's see what happens. And then if you're Ben Shulman, I do not blame you at all for jumping out of your seat and delivering basically with your walk-off voice the call of this blast.
I like that phrase, your walk-off voice.
I mean, he hits 10, and I don't blame him for hitting 10.
Yeah.
But it's the bottom of the third inning. Josh, we've got some baseball to go. Buck Martinez has such a unique voice, and I really enjoy hearing Buck here.
So one of the things that makes this World Series so interesting is because you have a team from Canada, you have the Canadian TV broadcast in addition to the American TV broadcast. Plus, we're going to hear the radio broadcast for both teams, and we're going to hear ESPN International and ESPN Radio. So we're going to hear a wide variety of different calls, and so that's why it's so great that there's so many that we can compare and contrast.
Yeah. All right. 3-0 Blue Jays. Wouldn't stay that way.
Drilled to left field and deep, and gone! No way! Miguel Rojas! Dave Roberts played his gut. The guy hadn't had a hit in a month. And in the ninth inning of Game 7, he's hit a tying home run.
And a ball hit to deep left field, and it's gone. Rojas has hit it out and has tied the game here in the ninth inning. And to say the crowd here is stunned would be an understatement.
Payoff pitch to Rojas. Swing and a high fly ball. Left field. It's back. It's on its way. Out of here. And we are tied. Miguel Rojas. A solo homer to left. And the veteran has evened this one up. It is 4-4. The unlikeliest of heroes as Rojas touches the plate. Slaps 5 with Ohtani. 4-4 in the ninth.
Coming into this at-bat, he was 4 for 5 lifetime against them. And oh my, a slider 3-2. Rojas has silenced not just the stadium, an entire country with one swing.
What a swing for Miguel Rojas.
Okay, so that was a little Isotopes on Isotopes crime there. Miguel Rojas played for the Isotopes in 2014 when we were a Dodgers affiliate. Jeff Hoffman back and forth between Albuquerque and the Rockies for 4 years. I remember just watching that with just such complete anxiety for both of them, but also excitement for both of them. Let me start with Joe Davis saying, no way. And I loved it because that's what I thought. No way. Miguel Rojas, the World Series party that I'm at, we're sitting there going, who should Dave Roberts be using to pinch hit for Miguel Rojas? No way. I think that's just a perfect 2-word explanation.
You and I just studied Al Michaels. And in my mind, what made Michaels great in the 1980s was the pure humanity and the fact that you could feel what he was feeling and that he voiced what you were feeling. And that's this. We're going to come back with this wonderful stat that he hasn't had a hit in a month. But that Joe just outright verbalizes, no way that this just happened, as all of the other professional broadcasters, it's gone. It's a tie game. It's magnificent from Joe. It's so human.
The thing that I'm going to continue to enjoy about this episode is that I didn't really hear a whole lot of Joe Davis's calls, even though I watched the game, because I was at a party where everyone's going nuts, right? As soon as the ball goes off the bat, it's just bedlam at the place I was at. And so I'm getting to really study and think about like the words. And yes, no way. And then, so let's get to the Canadian TV call of Dan Shulman. Now, I've only heard Dan Shulman do ESPN national broadcasts. So to hear him on a Blue Jays call where it's obvious, look, Dan is from Canada. He is, he's been doing the blue, and like you can hear how devastated Dan is with how few words that he says. And it's just a very much matter-of-fact call of this is what it is. And sometimes there are no words.
Well, what a wonderful contrast, isn't it? That for our national broadcasts, for Canada and for America, you've got the local voices. Joe is the TV voice of the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Dan is the TV voice of the Blue Jays. So it is them speaking larger than that. But it is Dan talking to the nation. And how do you present that? That you have just been punched in the stomach 2 outs away from a championship where you're looking at Ohtani on deck and there's no chance that Miguel Rojas is going to tie the game in a different circumstance. This, to my mind, was Rajai Davis off of Aroldis Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unlikely guy taking the flame-throwing closer deep, and suddenly we've got a tie score in the World Series in Game 7. So, yeah, I think that Dan handles it perfectly as he's been personally punched in the stomach by all this and voicing what everyone's feeling. The pictures tell the tale. And then to bring us into the ESPN radio booth, I'm so glad that we've got the camera to look at Boog Sciambi and to look at Eduardo and Jess, and just to see our 2 color analysts react with each other as Boog is delivering the call of this. And Eduardo comes back with, hey, it was 4 for 5 against Jeff Hoffman. But to see them and to see that reaction, that changes it a little bit for me.
So a couple of years ago, I started to use my camera to film myself for potential walk-off moments. And at first, it was mostly like a vanity thing. I'll be honest. And, this will look good on social media. But after I did it a couple times, I realized what a great teachable moment it is, because I can follow my eyes. I can see, am I looking down at my scorebook? Am I looking at a monitor? I can see where my eyes go, and I can learn. I can really critique myself of what are the veins looking like, in my neck, in my face. How am I staying composed but still being excited in these moments? And we get to see that with Boog, even the way that he kind of, right, he's moving to give himself a better angle of it. And you can see that the monitor is probably above where the camera is. I love that Jessica Mendoza's reaction of like, she's like this, but she also doesn't want to ruin Boog's call. I think that's great teamwork on her end, where she's trying as hard as she can not to say anything until it's the right time to talk into the microphone. Yes, it's just a wonderful moment of three people who love baseball and want to get this right. And also, oh my gosh.
What's the sort of moment too? Just to understand all the different things that I believe a broadcaster needs to prioritize there is, here's the home run. It's gone. We're tied. The stadium is shocked. And Miguel Rojas is the guy who hit it. And Joe Davis immediately going to Dave Roberts and saying, it's his move to go to Rojas in this spot. As the video is showing, Roberts has his hands on his head. You've got to somehow fit in things all the while. An important part of this call is you've got to let the crowd silence sound out. You need to let everyone understand what Ben Shulman talked about at the very start of the broadcast. Guess what, Ben? I'm sorry, man, but we're there.
Yeah. I remember in that Al Michaels episode, Al used the phrase, Walt Weiss of all people for a big home run. And then Boog uses unlikeliest of heroes, which I thought was a really good phrase.
But the game's tied.
We got a lot more to go. All right. So now let's get to the bottom of the ninth inning.
And winning game 6. Ready to do some heroic stuff. Coming on to face Kirk.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one night after throwing 96 pitches, in with one out in the bottom of the ninth. First and second for the Blue Jays. 4-4 score. Alejandro Kirk looking for a base hit that could win the World Series. Inside and hit him. Kirk hit by the pitch, and the bases are loaded. And the World Series winning run 90 feet away from home. Infield in, outfield in for the Dodgers. 4-4. Bases loaded, one out. Dalton Varsho set to hit.
Andy Pages replaces Tommy Edman. Getting the stronger arms out there. Room for air, gone for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Bases loaded, one away. Varsho. Roller to second. Rojas comes home in time. And it's Miguel Rojas who ties it in the top of the ninth. Saves it in the bottom of the ninth. 2 out.
There was a brief stumble from Rojas at second base, but he recovered, planted, and threw home, and Kiner-Falefa is deemed out.
Question's going to be, did Will Smith have his spike on the plate or not in time?
It's up, it's down. I think it's back down before his foot hits the plate.
The review of the call is confirmed. The runner is out.
Call, 2 outs in the ninth inning. Ernie Clement has collected more hits in this.
All right, before the Ernie Clement at bat, Jesse.
I've got 2 quick thoughts. The first is Joe's words are roller to second, comes home in time. It's word efficiency. It's perfect because he is right there on top of it. And the second thing I wanted to observe is he says, it's Miguel Rojas. And I want you to keep that line, that framing of it with the it's and the player's name in your back pocket. Okay. What do you have?
I love the way that Ben Shulman set it up. World Series winning run 90 feet away. Infield in, outfield in. And I love Joe Davis's setup of room for air, gone. Efficiency with words, setting the moment. I think that all the different setups that we heard there were what you want to set this up.
And then the way that they called it with the instant replay.
Yes.
I was not a sure out.
Yes.
Oh, Will Smith. And then everything else. something that was lacking there that we immediately got afterward, if you're checking your social media, is all the criticism of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Why was his lead so short at third base? Well, it was caught that Carlos Febles had put a line there that he wanted him close. Should that have been the line? Why did he slide in instead of going in standing? That's what I didn't hear any of the broadcasters discuss at the time, but smart baseball people certainly got into later.
Yeah, I kind of want to give the broadcasters a pass because there was just so many different things where the game could have ended. And so in order to go back and show all the different angles and replays of all of those things, I think would be really difficult. I thought that there was times during the playoffs and during the World Series where I'm thinking, okay, you're doing some interview with a manager or you're showing some type of replay, but you might miss something here. Where I was getting anxiety as a fan and as a broadcaster of like, okay, like, can we just focus on this next play and then kind of do like the breakdown of all of these minute things, or I guess they're not minute things later. But yeah, we didn't know at the time just how small his lead was.
Yeah. By the way, something that we didn't hear on the Miguel Rojas home run. Do you remember that John Smoltz said you'd rather give up a hit here?
Mm-hmm.
So there were all sorts of different things that you just have to be ready for something to happen. It's the Yogi Berra, expect the unexpected. And so in order to do so, and vice versa. So in order to do so, you just have to be out in front, like Ben was, like Joe was. And then something's going to happen that you might not be ready for, but then react.
All right, let's get to the next big moment.
Let's react.
Fly ball to left field. Hernandez on the run with Pages over his head. Pages runs him over, makes the catch, sends Game 7 to the 10th. Incredible.
High fly ball to left field. He's hit it well. It's caught. Pages caught it. Crashing into Kiké Hernandez to save the Dodgers and force this game to extra innings. An unbelievable play by Pages, denying the Blue Jays the World Series championship here in the bottom of the ninth inning.
I couldn't believe the outfitters were so shallow. They had stayed shallow in that situation. And watch how far they have to run. Kiké Hernandez has a long run to get back to the warning track, and he's bailed out by Andy Pages, who just came in the middle of the inning as a defensive replacement. He is without question, but look how shallow they were. That's unbelievable. They were that shallow in that situation with Ernie Clement at the plate. But Pages takes command and reaches over the top of Kiké Hernandez to record the final out of the bottom of the ninth.
So the Blue, with the bases loaded, Barger's at third. He's the winning run. Yamamoto deals. Swing and a high fly ball left field. That's well struck. That's back there. And that one is caught by Pages. Pages catches it as he collides with Kiké Hernandez in left center field, and this game continues. What a play by Pages as he simply bulldozed Kiké Hernandez and made the catch on the warning track and then fell into the wall. What a play. And we're going to the 10th inning here in Game 7. 4-4 our score. This is the 2025 World Series on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Boog the professional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, two quick things for you, Josh. Boog is ready to call a walk-off.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is he does not mention the outfielders. He does not say their names. All he is doing is covering the path of the ball from bat to where it's going. He is totally ready for that ball to hit down on the warning track, to hit off the wall, and immediately call a Blue Jays championship. But then it's such a great recovery to say, caught. And this play is a trap.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching it, I don't know about you, watching this ball hit to deepest left center, I'm thinking, okay, so it's Kiké's ball or it's nobody's ball. And then Pages comes in out of nowhere. And in the end, because of his great speed, he gets there. Kiké makes it tougher, but he's a big guy and just destroys him. But if all you're doing is watching Hernandez and watching the ball, and then suddenly in comes the linebacker, it's ridiculous. And the second point I'd like to make is Dan Shulman saying denying the Blue Jays the championship. That gets to the point of the issue, because all Boog does is goes, what a catch. Makes the catch. What a catch. Bulldozed him. Let's go to the 10th. I love Dan saying that it denied the Blue Jays the championship.
Joe Davis's call was the one in which he mentions the outfielders' names the most, right? He's describing Kiké Hernandez, and then he says, with Pages over his head, and I don't know if it means the ball is over Kiké's head or if it's Pages jumping over his head, but then runs him over, and he uses the word incredible. Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think Pages had a shot at it whatsoever. I'm just watching Kiké, myself the entire way. I thought that Joe did the best job of describing the outfielders' names. Agree with you on Dan Shulman Dan Shulman's denying a World Series. I thought that Dan was very much like Boog in that he's getting ready to call it, right? I think he says something like it's hit a long way or it's hit something like that. And so he's probably like, okay, here we go. This is the call that's going to live on for forever. And now all of a sudden here's somebody else and it's caught. These are extremely difficult calls because of those things. But these are all, like, in one way, these calls are so difficult, but on the other hand, it's just, my goodness, the plays are so amazing. You just describe it,
If you go back and you listen to the call, if Willie Mays against Vic Wertz, 1954 World Series, it's the same sort of thing. Back, it is caught. It's the moment that a broadcaster does not expect. The outfielder runs it down. And to run it down this physically. Mm-hmm. And it's a great job, too. In the Blue Jays radio, I believe, or perhaps it was Dan and Buck, who note Pages the replacement, the defensive replacement, because that's crucial to this point as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed Buck Martinez's perspective on how shallow they were playing.
Yes.
Right? There was one angle there when we were hearing Buck Martinez's voice where you can really, where it's just basically isolated, the camera is on Kiké Hernandez. And that's when you really get the perspective of how far Pages came, how he came out of nowhere. And Kiké has said that he thought the game was over. He didn't realize that Pages caught it. So he told him and showed him.
Well, that was part of the impact of this and watching it, is that Kiké is down on the ground, face down on the ground. And so my thinking is, oh, he's dead. And he has demoralized his poor teammate. And Kiké saying that he was just laying there because he's thinking it's done, it's over, and that Andy has to haul him up to his feet. It's so good. It just adds another level.
But this game's not over. Not at all. Onward to the 11th inning.
Smith hits a high fly ball to deep left field. It's got a chance. It is gone. It's Will Smith in Game 7. And in the 11th inning of Game 7, the Dodgers lead for the first time.
High fly to left. He's hit it a long way. And it's gone. Will Smith has homered. And the Dodgers have the lead.
LeFevre working up the first base side of the rubber, fires. And a 2-0 is hit high and deep in the air. Left field, turning and looking as strong. That one is gone. Into the bullpen. A towering homer to left for Will Smith. And here in the 11th, the Dodgers have a 5-4 advantage. And Smith slaps 5 with Dino Ebel in third. Comes across, steps on the plate, and high fives Freddie Freeman. The Dodgers have the lead.
Josh,
Yes.
would you like to lead off?
No, I feel like you've got something really good.
No, do you remember I said put a pin in it's?
Mm-hmm.
It's Will Smith in Game 7. After Joe had earlier said, it's Miguel Rojas.
Tell me more. Tell me more about just using that it's and then the name.
So I'm curious what your takeaway is. But my initial reaction to that is that it is the answer to an unasked question. And the question that is silent, but we understand is, who's going to be the hero? It's Will Smith in Game 7. And that is what elevates the Joe call. Dan Shulman is speaking to the heartbreak of a nation. And so the way that he's calling it, home run, the Dodgers have the lead. Boog Sciambi, he punches it. But then after that, it's just the description of everything that he sees. It's Joe who elevates Will to hero. It's Joe who makes this a headline. Who is going to tilt the balance in one of the best World Series that we've ever seen? It's Will Smith in Game 7.
When it comes to using first names and last names, I like the idea that when the at-bat begins, you say the first name and the last name of the batter. With the pitcher, when he takes over, maybe the start of the inning, you use the first name and the last name. And then you just use last names. Then it's Smith. It's Bichette. But then when someone does something big, whether that is a diving catch, whether that is a double, whether that is a home run, I really enjoy punching the first and last name. And I'm sure there's been plenty of broadcasters who have used its name. But I haven't really thought about it in the way that you've broken it down for us, which I appreciate. And I hadn't thought about it until we started recording right now. And I really like it. I like it's Will Smith.
I have not heard broadcasters do that. And I think something about Joe, because he's a student of broadcasting, we have heard him allude to calls from the past. Mm-hmm. He is paying tribute to Ernie Harwell throughout this postseason. We hear him drop us, stood there like the house by the side of the road. Mm-hmm. We've heard him pay tribute to Vin Scully. She is gone. Freddie meet Gibby. This is Joe. This is something that I associate with Joe. Now let me throw something at you. When the hero of your game, to this point, because we're not done yet, but the hero of this game is named Will Smith, I think that it would be very easy for a different broadcaster to crack wise. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have to make a Fresh Prince reference.
Mm-hmm.
You could say the power of will.
Right.
You got things that you can do when Will Smith just delivered the Dodgers into the lead. There are things you can do with his name. There are things you can do with his history of dramatic home runs. That is not done here by any of these broadcasters that we have listened to yet.
Will Smith has the name for a tabloid headline writer's dream, or any style newspaper magazine's dream, where there's a will, there's all of these different things. And I'm glad that nobody did that. I feel like, maybe that's a regular season thing to do. Maybe that's a division series thing to do. I also think about just how mentally exhausted all of us were at this point in the game. Whether you're watching as a fan alone, or at the stadium, or at a house full of other people, and there's just bedlam and screaming and yelling and just back and forth, trying to keep track of who's coming up next and where's in the lineup and who's available in the bullpen. And I think that sometimes when the game gets that convoluted, that dramatic, that long, it's almost hard to come up with those cutesy things, which makes it better because you don't, maybe those cutesy things are a reach, or maybe they're halfway planned. And it was just one dramatic moment after another that I don't know if the brain can come up with those things. At least I know my brain couldn't come up with those things in those moments.
I mean, you say that, but that is our challenge.
Mhm.
That when something happens, it is up to the broadcaster to rise to it. And a great broadcaster can elevate a great moment into something everlasting.
Yeah.
And we can think about those broadcasters and those moments, that the right broadcaster was in the right spot to take it. And those words, the way that it was called, it lives as long as baseball fans, the people who love the game, can remember it. I think that's the wonderful challenge that is before us, is can you find the right words and voice to take that moment and to cement it?
Also want to give a shout out to all of the camera operators for Fox and TSN. Like, you talk about finding the right words. How about finding the right fans, who are like this, who are like this, like, and finding different fans. I mean, it's really easy to just find the first one, but the ability to find the fans with those perfect reactions, and then for the director with all of those cameras up there and all those potential shots to see it and call for that shot where you see the fans doing this. That is such a skill. And I just want to give a shout out to all of the behind the scenes people who bring us those moments.
Shot to Kershaw, shot to John Schneider, shot to Shane Bieber, fan. Like, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Surrender Cobra.
Right. All right. Game's not over. We got one more.
Coming up, World Series could end on one swing in either direction. Home run wins it for the Blue Jays. Ground ball wins it for the Dodgers. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Kirk bounces one up the middle. Bats to the back. Over to first to beat the champ. You gotta knock him out. The Dodgers stand tall and win back-to-back titles. Clayton Kershaw's Major League career ends as he watches his team win a Game 7 epic. It didn't look like they had any shot in this one until the very end. When an unsung hero, a most unlikely hero, Miguel Rojas, tied the game with a home run. With all the focus on the man that was on deck, Shohei Ohtani. It was Rojas who delivered the shock. And then it was Will Smith who delivered the game-winning home run in the top of the 11th inning. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, legendary stuff, wins 3 games in this World Series. A complete game in Game 2. His team faces elimination in Game 6. And then, like Randy Johnson, like Grover Cleveland Alexander, like some of the all-time greats, Yoshinobu Yamamoto finishes off Game 7.
Unbelievable. That's just the only word I can say. Unbelievable. People who have pitched, they will appreciate that more than anybody else.
5-4 in Game 7. Yamamoto's 0-2 coming to Kirk. Broken back, ground ball. Betts has it, steps on the bag. The throw to first. Double play from backs against the wall to back. The Dodgers cement their dynasty. They win Game 7 in extra innings. 5-4 the final. They mob Yamamoto on the left side of the mound. A classic finish to a 7-game series. The Dodgers become the first team in Major League Baseball in 25 years to repeat as World Series champions.
And the 0-2 swing.
Now I'm going to pause right there so we can get initial thoughts of Joe Davis on Fox and then Steven Nelson on Dodgers radio.
Well, Joe saying that the World Series could end on one pitch in either direction. How prescient is that?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got the slow-footed Alejandro Kirk, and there's just that understanding. If it's a grounder, the Dodgers are turning 2 on this. And so he's right on, and that leads right into this. I love when a broadcaster is ahead of what can happen, when he can give something like that. And then look at this. That's really good broadcasting, Josh.
To beat the champ, you got to knock him out. I like the phrase. I don't know if I loved it in that exact moment.
So I would love to ask Joe, why? Right? There's something larger that is going on there. Because I don't think any of us is going, oh, it's to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Right. It's Ric Flair, right?
Yeah. The Dodgers are standing tall. That wasn't the story of this World Series to me. Steven Nelson going from backs against the wall to back. You know what? You're down to their final 2 outs in the 9th inning. You come back, you win back-to-back championships. You're the first team to win back-to-back championships in a while. I can dig that.
Yep. And I can dig cement their dynasty, right? It is a dynasty now that they won back-to-back, right? All those trips to the playoffs and one win in COVID and all the heartbreak. And then, okay, they won one last year. It's for sure a dynasty now. So, yeah, I really like Steven Nelson's call a lot.
Wasn't it Tom Cheek in 1993 who started to name every single person who had a part to play in it? I think this is a Bill King move too. So I liked when Joe started to go around Miguel Rojas, Will Smith, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like, who are all the different people who delivered this championship?
Yeah. So also there's a lot of editing that's done. The people at MLB Network who do Quick Pitch are fabulous. I'm blown away. I love watching the way that Quick Pitch is put together. So some of the calls that we're hearing, it's not, it may not be chronological with what their words were, the way that was edited together. I think we've also seen the days of Vin Scully with the super lung and Joe Buck layout, right? Not that those are gone, but I think the super long layouts are not as long as they used to be. And then when these get edited down, you want to hear the words. And so I think that's an important reminder too, in terms of like, oh, they need to let it breathe. They let it breathe. And that's the way these get edited.
True. I don't think we're done, right?
No. We got to get some more. Yes, we got quite a few more. Trust me, we got quite a few more.
Before we do,
do
you remember how I said that Andy Paez catch is a trap? Because as a play-by-play person, you're watching the left fielder. He's not going to get there. Oh, wait, center fielder. This play is a trap. It's a broken bat grounder. There's no mustard on this ball. And you've got the shortstop taking it, stepping on the bag, firing. That is happening in what, half a second? So you as a play-by-play person, if you want to be on this call, you need to get at broken bat, Mookie Betts, out at second, out at first, championship. That's tough.
The broken bat roller out to short. Betts up with it. Steps out second. On to first. And it's a double play. And the Dodgers have won it. Here in 11, the Dodgers turn the double play and finish off the Jays 5-4 in the final. And they celebrate to the left of the pitcher's mound, jumping up and down. The Dodgers, repeat champions for the first time in baseball in 25 years. The Dodgers are World Series champs.
Yamamoto get the strikeout. 0-2. Kirk, broken back ground ball. Betts has it. Second one. Throw the first. Got him, double play! And the Dodgers have won back-to-back World Series championships and cemented themselves as an all-time great team with an all-time great win in extra innings on the road. 5-4, and Yamamoto, the ultimate hero, is at the bottom of that pile. The Los Angeles Dodgers are your 2025 World Series champions. Yamamoto's out in front.
All right, I'm going to pause it there. So we just heard Boog Sciambi on ESPN Radio and then Dave Fleming on ESPN International. And I think the contrast between those two, Jesse, is how quickly Fleming said World Series champions and back-to-back. And it took Boog a while before he got there, right? Boog was very this. They have won it. They have won the game. They won it 11 innings in the score. And I'm not saying that he should have said it faster. I just think I like that we can compare and contrast kind of how long it took for Boog to say repeat champions, whereas Fleming just went right in there with it.
Do you have a preference? Let's say you're calling this. How soon do you think that you would have said back-to-back champs?
I probably would have done the Fleming version where quicker, right? I think I would have said, something along the lines of double play. The World Series is over. You know what I mean? Like I think that I would get to it almost immediately. It's hard to say when you're not in that moment and like how fast your brain is going and what you're trying to think of and all these different things. But I think that I would do it the Fleming way.
Yeah, I think that my natural inclination would be once they get that out at first base to say final champions, back-to-back champions. And I do think that there is something to be said for not rushing yourself into it, because now that the game is over, boy, do you have time. You've got all the time that you need to say whatever you want. There is no need to rush.
There's something too that I really enjoy about hearing the year. I want to hear.
Yes.
The Dodgers are the 2025 World Series champions. They have repeated. Like, I want to hear the year. I want that for posterity. I want that for all time. It's, Vin always did the timestamp of what time it is for a no-hitter. But in this, I don't know if we need the minute, but I want to hear 2025.
I agree. Cement this. Cement is now a word that is being overused because Dave also used cement. That made me smile after we had heard Steven use it earlier. But yes, I would like you to give this a particular time and place, that this is to end the 2025 World Series end season, that these are our champions. I agree.
Let's get to more.
0-2. And the pitch. And a broken bat, grounder to short. And the Dodgers turn it and win it. The Dodgers have won the World Series. They have beaten the Blue Jays 5-4 here in 11 innings. They have repeated as World Series champions. And an incredible year for the Blue Jays ends with heartbreak as they come as close as you can come to winning a World Series. But the Dodgers are the team that find a way and beat them to take the title.
One out, first and third. 5-4 Dodgers, bottom 11. 0-2. Broken bat bouncer up the middle. Betts runs to second one, throws to first, and the Dodgers have won the World Series. They come back to beat the Blue Jays 5-4 in extra innings, and are baseball's first repeat champion since the 2000 Yankees.
Okay, so those were the two Shulmans. That was Dan on TV and Ben on the radio side.
I thought Ben was excellent because he's punching it all the while. It's punching at him. I thought his call was outstanding, just to lay it all out there, the play-by-play, and then to put all the pieces together into what this adds up to. Whereas for Dan Shulman, I would describe his call as deliberate. What did you think?
I like Dan's use of turn it and win it, meaning the double play. He gets into, I forget the adjective that he used, but, the great Blue Jays season ends in heartbreak. They come as close as you can come. I thought that his call of the actual play itself was understandably a bit muted and a bit almost sad, understandably. But I thought that his next phrasing was really good. And then for Ben, he immediately says Dodgers win the World Series. It's not even like Dodgers win the game. It's just the Dodgers win the World Series, which, again, going back to when do you say that, I thought he got to it immediately, and I thought it worked really, really well.
Yeah. It's the Blue Jays haven't been champions since before Ben was born. And this whole season, this whole run meant so much to Toronto, to Ontario, to Canada. This was such a dream journey that you think about how they got past the Mariners and what a grueling ALCS that was. And now here they are in Toronto after they had the chance to win Game 6. And now they lose in Game 7. I think back to John Smoltz describing how tough it is for him to find the right words. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as play-by-play people, it doesn't matter. You need to figure out those words anyway. In this moment, you can be speechless later, but in this moment, you have to find the right words. And I feel like the Shulmans found the words as the pictures were telling the story of heartbreak.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it's actually one of my pet peeves when media people say, you know, I don't have the words for this. Like, it's literally your job. Find them. Find the words. That's your job. If an athlete says it, okay, that's fine. You're the athlete. It's your job to play. For us in the media, it's your job to find those words. I think it's really interesting to compare and contrast the two Shulmans because I don't know if the right word is sad or melancholy or whether the word is just deliberate as you used. But Dan is the one who is the older one. He is the father. He's the one who's on television. His is much more, again, maybe sad. And Ben, the younger one, is, I think that if you did not know that he was doing Blue Jays radio, you might think this was a national call, right? His energy level is, he's not sad. He might be sad inside, but his call is not of a sad call. He is calling this almost as if it's a national broadcast.
Tying runners at third after a leadoff double by Vladdy Jr. And there's only one out. Fly ball likely ties up the World Series Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
An extra base hit likely wins the championship. And to go from that into a World Series losing double play, I come back to how does this challenge the broadcaster? Mm-hmm. And I think throughout this entire way, over the course of a roller coaster World Series, that these are putting the broadcasters through the ringer and saying, are you up for this?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a good enough broadcaster to call this? How about this? We heard Ben on the Bichette 3-run homer at the start of the game. Josh, he's delivering his World Series championship winning call with that home run. And now he's got to do 8 more innings.
Right.
Do you understand what that does to vocal cords?
Yeah. Also what it does just to your brain, to your focus, right? And you think about,
it's so easy to have a lapse. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I think about how tired I was at the end of a 150 game AAA season. And then you think about 12 more regular season games, wild card, division, championship series, World Series, 18 innings, a double play to end game 6. I cannot fault Ben for delivering a championship winning home run call in the 3rd inning because you're just so amped and you realize whatever I've got left in the tank, here it comes, right? No matter what, this is it.
It's game 7. There's no tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. So I really do think that you mentioned the vocal cords, which is absolutely right. But I think mentally, how do you stay in it mentally with all of the different elements that are happening? It's, I mean, let's face it, it's the type of moments that we want to be in. It's your dream as a broadcaster to be in those moments. But yeah, you really do get put through the ringer on how to be in the moment.
And yet, on the final call of the season, I think we heard good calls, really good calls through the exhaustion with the adrenaline pumping. And then you send it to commercial break and you collapse. Remember Jeff Levering delivering the final call of the Brewers season, and you could hear his tears on air. And I thought that was so raw and real. And that people understand, in order to broadcast well, you must feel it. There cannot be separation between you and the game. You must be taking what the fans are feeling. I think about the word channel. The fans, the players, the coaches, everybody, you must channel that into your broadcast. Joe Davis channels it with the no way. And so we're hearing this at the very end. And it's, boy, what a way for 2025 to come to a conclusion.
You know, I said it at the start of the show here. I thought it was the best World Series of our lifetime. You can make a really good case that you take all of the playoff series combined, and it's in the conversation for greatest combined postseason in our lifetime. And overall, I thought the announcers rose to the occasion, that they were fantastic. We can nitpick, and we did, because that's the whole point of crafting the call, is to nitpick. And I think I like Joe Davis even more, knowing that he nitpicks himself and that he journals his process. It makes me appreciate him more on a professional level and as a personal level. But man, some great calls we just heard. People just elevated their game.
What Joe told Richard, you're never going to be perfect. Just to paraphrase, you're never going to be perfect, but you can keep on striving to get better. And that's what we strive to do. And it's really good to hear in these tough times and very dramatic moments, a variety of different voices find the words and deliver the calls in what I agree with you. This was a classic. This was awesome.
Awesome episode too. Thanks, Jesse.
For Josh Sushan, the voice of the Albuquerque Isotopes, I'm Jesse Goldberg Strassler, the voice of the Lansing Lugnuts. Not all baseball is going to be good as the 2025 World Series Game 7, but what a great game. This has been Crafting the Call.